Nowadays, it feels like a lot of films try really hard to be zany and quirky and irreverent and fun in that really forced kind of way. And when I saw the trailer for Boy Kills World, I thought it looked fun, the whole inner voice being the commentator from the arcade game. But given what I just said a few seconds ago, it could have gone either way. Thankfully, I had a really good time with Boy Kills World. The zaniness, the wackiness, the quirkiness, it worked for me. And they just bask in it, they have a good time with it. It's just gleefully batshit crazy. I really enjoyed the piece of shit dystopia that this world takes place in, where they have the culling every year, mass murder on the TV with the stupid serial mascots dancing around whilst people are getting brutally murdered. Is it a particularly deep premise? No, not entirely. But it's just really enjoyable to watch Bill Skarsgård going around and just beating the living piss out of waves upon waves of guys in very violent and gory fashion. Yeah, there's a lot of blood in this, and some really creative fights and creative kills as well. There's this one fight, it's pretty much the first major fight that Boy has in the film with this really deranged guy who just will not stop fighting. He just keeps coming back for more, and he's just out of his mind. The stuff that happens in that fight, I'm just like, okay, that's what film we're in for. And like I said, it's fun. Speaking of Bill Skarsgård, I did not know he was capable of something like this. I've seen him in, I was going to say average roles, but Pennywise is not really an average role, but not action roles. But here, he is shredded and he is kicking copious amounts of ass. This film showed that he's got action chops, and I'd love to see him do more action films and more films in general, because he is just climbing as one of my favourite actors to see in films nowadays. There is another character in this film called June 27. She's like the head of the Van der Koy's private army. She wears this helmet with an LED display that actually says like words on it when she doesn't use her voice. And I thought she was quite a badass character as well. She throws down with Boy a few times, and she holds her own. Now, when I got home from the film last night, I checked the Rotten Tomatoes page for this film. It has a 61% rating, and the consensus says something about a predictable plot and thinly written characters. I don't think this film was as predictable as at least the consensus on Rotten Tomatoes says, because the last third goes in some directions that I personally did not expect. I mean, it might have been blatantly obvious to everybody else, but I'm not like everybody else. Like I said, not a particularly deep film story-wise, but when it comes to action films, if you can just give me a cool protagonist, badass action, great fights, great action sequences, then I can forgive a subpar story. I'm not saying the story was subpar, it just wasn't up there with a lot of other action stories. And again, these fights, this action, really entertaining. Some really bloody stuff, some creative kills, creative fights, creative moves. If you like action films, go watch it. It's a bloody good time.